All right, Hans Temestal Hill, my guy. Stephen Breadman Edwards, my guy. How you feeling today?
Good, good, good. Heading to the gym.
All right, perfect, man. So let's jump right into it. Uh, Boots moving up to 154 pounds, man. Probably a long time coming. Um, what are your thoughts on him finally deciding, all right, dropping my titles, moving up to 154, man?
I had a feeling he would because the other titleists, Barrios and Norman, they weren't on like the same fight schedule as him. Both of them had fights in the summer, so he was kind of like waiting around. And making weight is a real thing, man. You see some of these guys making weight, they attitudes get chippy. They like making weight is rough. It's a real time for people to just to be empathetic towards a fighter, man. You like this. It's unnatural to lose that much weight and then have to perform a athletic activity. So, um, Boots is a big guy, and I had a feeling that he was going to move up because it didn't seem like he was going to be able to get fights with the other titleists when they both had fights in the summer.
Now, let me ask you this because Brian Norman, just got that crazy knockout. And I want to ask you about that. Let me ask you about that real quick first. What were your thoughts on that KO of the year candidate right there, man?
Oh, he looked good, man. His left hook is a real weapon.
Yeah.
I see him getting better. Before he won the title, he was like in a little bit of a performance slump. He got hurt a couple of times. I think he even got dropped, if I'm not mistaken. And then he won the title, and then he's like improved. Like he's getting better. I see him improving right in front of our eyes.
Yeah. So I remember before the fight, he was just saying that because Eddie was trying to like lock in a deal with Boots and stuff like that. But he was just like, yo, just I'm focused on Jin Sasaki. Holla at me after the Sasaki fight. And now people are saying that Boots is kind of ducking him. And because I'm not saying that you agree with it, but does some of it make sense only from the standpoint of the timing of Boots deciding to move up? Like, did that come across as like, a little weird because people are pointing at, hey, why didn't he just wait until like it was like one more day until Brian fought, you know?
I guess people could say whatever they want. Um, I don't like to be getting into too many arguments or back and forths about stuff that don't have nothing to do with me. But I do know that, when you got a clever team, you can make things look a certain kind of way and it don't be that way. And I think that Brian Norman got really good managers and really, really good promoters and matchmakers and things like that. You know what I mean? Jolene Mazzone and Adrian Clark are the truth. And
Yeah.
Brad Goodman and Bruce Trample. I've never even had a fight with Top Rank, and I talk about how good their matchmaking and stuff is. So he got a good machine behind him. And I'm not saying anybody's lying. I'm not on anybody's side or anything like that. But it could just certain things could just be made to look a certain kind of way. And and just because you got I don't want to say better, but you got different types of handlers, that doesn't mean that everything that you see is true. Um, I don't believe that Boots is ducking him. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to be fighting with people in the comments and all of that. But I've been around Boots and he just not like a guy that talk a lot and he don't have like a bunch of like stuff behind him to make things look a certain kind of way. So him and his dad, they just fighting people. They just love to fight. So they not into all of this kind of other stuff that people be doing to try to make them look bad in the media.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where the problem come in, that the other teams, they got like a machine behind them. So if anything don't go right, oh yeah, I don't gotta fight him now because he ducked he didn't want to fight on this date. Um the kid is a phenomenal fighter. And I don't got nothing to do with his career. I don't make no money off of him. People get mad at me when I say that. I don't. I don't train him. I'm not part of his management. None of that. We just happen to be from the same city. Me and his dad is cool, and I go up there to get sparring. He's a phenomenal fighter, and he don't got to duck nobody, bro. He got Ray Leonard, Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather type of potential. Danny's as good as them. So be mindful with him. He got that kind of potential. He don't have to duck nobody. And he will be a huge favorite against Brian Norman. And I know that's not the end all be all, but he would be a huge favor to beat Brian Norman. So I don't think he has to duck him. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to be arguing about nobody else's business.
Gotcha. And I'm not gonna keep you long, so just gonna have it just for like a few more minutes. I know you gotta go. But so just about like real quick about Boots. Like, dude, I know it's about you know, I know you said he went to get tests from like doctors and things like that. 147 really too good for him. And if we being honest, the brother don't look good when he cutting that weight. He just
No,
don't.
you know what? He don't. And people gotta respect that. Because if he take two mean fights at 47 and his body not right, excuse me, then if he lose, they're gonna say, "We don't want to hear that excuse because you shouldn't have took the fight."
Yeah.
Right?
Hmm.
So and you damn if you do and damn if you don't. You know what I mean? So it's like a thing of like, do you keep pushing yourself to make this weight when 154 got more competition anyway, and you could just, I mean, it ain't no guarantee. A unification match has to be made. Nobody enforces that, so it's no guarantee that Brian Norman or Mario Bars was going to fight him anyway. It's not a guarantee. So you sitting around waiting for guys. You know what I mean? People don't realize that it's not a guarantee. We'd have to fight two fights. Both of them got fights this summer. Guys usually don't fight, but every 6 months or more. So he probably would have been waiting to the beginning of next year just to get one of them guys in the ring, potentially. Not even, so it's not written in stone. So at a certain point, you just say, all right, man, I'm gonna go ahead on. I ain't gonna keep chasing them guys. And when you know the truth, I don't use the term your truth or my truth, because that's another ridiculous term of this era, these new millennials. I don't know who made that shit up. The truth only come one way. It's
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
But he probably like if you know the truth, you kind of just be like, all right, man, all right, whatever y'all want to think.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know anything about what's going on with the negotiations or anything, but I do know what kind of talent he is. I've been watching him in the gym for like the last 11, 12 years. You guys seeing it on display. That kid don't got to duck nobody, man. I'm telling you. I'm
So
telling you. You've been to Philly and you've seen it.
for
He don't
sure.
have to duck nobody.
For
I'm just saying they
sure.
just don't. He's a different kind of talent. And people know, I'm sure they know, and you could say certain things on the outside, but they know, man. The guys who've been in the ring with him, real fights and sparring, you don't hear nobody disrespect them,
Yeah.
and that's I'm gonna leave it at that. You don't hear nobody say, "Oh man," because sometimes even if 90 people say a guy is the truth, it'll be 10 people be like, "Nah, he not really all that." Dudes that box boots, amateurs, pros in the gym, none of them say that. You
Yeah.
don't hear one of them be like, "Oh, I got out on him." You never hear that.
That's true.
There's a reason why.
Yeah. So just two questions for you then. I mean, and like you said, like I don't think Boots is ducking or anything like that, but my opinion doesn't matter. Who cares about my opinion? But I do think that Brian Norman was the guy where it's just like, oh, I just want to see that fight. Like he's the only guy that I don't I just think he's the only one that could get even remotely close to Boots at 147 pounds. Like, is that one where you're just like, yeah,
I
nah,
uh
I wanted to see that one.
I agree. I think he was the second best guy in the division after Boots beat Stanionis, and Brian Norman is improving. He's younger than Stanionis, so his upside is higher. So, and he's a bigger puncher. And he got the Atlanta, would be the North and South thing, both black kids with the urban cities. I wanted to see it too, but I just didn't think it was realistic. And the number one reason why I didn't think it was realistic because of Brian Norman's age. I didn't feel like that. I felt like his team would have had to get a beyond incredible deal to take the risk with a kid 23 or 24. Boots about 27, 28. Boots on a different uh development level, in my opinion, of Brian Norman. It doesn't mean that it won't be even one day, but right now Boots has developed past him. So I always felt like, damn, they wouldn't take that chance with a kid so young because he could get him ruined. You know what I mean? Unless the deal was just crazy, where he was just, I don't use the term overpaid for a fighter because they risking their life, but I think that the deal would have had to just be insane for him to get it. And Boots got to make money. So So I always, if you ever notice, I always be like, I don't think they're gonna fight just because of that. When you risking a younger fighter like that, you got to get super paid because his career could get ruined. You know what I'm saying? And Boost the kind of guy, he beat on you for a few rounds, your career could get ruined.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't never confident that the fight would be made, to be honest with you.
Gotcha. And just my last one for you before I let you go. Since Boots is officially moving up to 154 pounds now, look at that whole landscape. Who do you think is like, I mean, I don't want to say Crawford. Crawford doesn't count, but I don't think he's coming back down. Vergil Ortiz is right.
Crawford probably not going to go from 68 to 54, so you can
Yeah,
count that out. I
yeah,
don't think he'll do that.
yeah. I'm not counting him. And I mean, Vergil Ortiz is like the obvious one. Like he seems like, yeah, he's gonna be the guy that's gonna be the mega fight for Boots. Is there like somebody else where it's just like, yeah, Vergil is a given, but a guy like the winner of Tindu versus Fundora, Jamel Charlo when he comes back, Xander Zayas, do you see somebody else, Bakram, where you're just like, ooh, that's actually a really good fight. Telez, like,
I'm going to say this. Individually, I think Boots will be the favorite over everybody.
mm,
But if you fight elite fighters in a prime on a constant basis, you will have a slip up. You understand what I'm saying? So sometimes the totality of the tough fights and totality of just a guy may having your number, if you're taking on enough good guys, you can have a slip up or two. It don't mean that you're not that guy, but that happens to mostly everybody in boxing if you line up elite guys in the prime. Here's what I mean by that. If you was to ask me who would I favor at 154 with Boots, I would say I would favor Boots over everybody. But if Boots fight Bakram, Fundora, Tim Tszyu, Charles Conwell, um, Vergil Ortiz, Talese, and let's just say somebody else emerges out of nowhere. That's six fights with guys in their prime, in their 20s, or maybe early 30s or whatever. It's a possibility that you could have a bad night or just a guy can have your number. But if you're asking me, I think that he's the top guy at 54. I think he's going to be fine with the weight. Obviously, he got to prove it. Um, his toughest fight, not counting the new guy emerging, um, I would say Vergil Ortiz or Fundora. Fundora, obviously, because it's hard to train for 6'6".
mm. Yeah.
Southpaw. It's hard to train for that. And he is a gun. He is a good fighter. He got a lot of heart, throw a lot of punches. He could fight, and he got a lot of world class experience. I think Boots will win, but that's not going to be an easy fight. And the one fight Fundora lost, he was winning every round until Brian Mendoza caught him.
So am I?
Oh, wait.
Mhm.
Lubin will be a good fight for him too, because Lubin got a high skill level.
Yeah.
Lubin is a guy I kind of forget because he ain't been fighting that much, so you kind of forget about him. But he just won that fight against the kid from Detroit. So Lubin will be a good fight too. But I would favor Boots to beat everybody overall. But Fundora because of the style, and I would say Lubin and Ortiz because of the skill level will be his toughest fights.
Ironically enough, I did mention Lubin before, and I just want to know, am I tripping for thinking like a guy like Xander Zayas? I'm not saying he'll win or I'll favor him, but I
Yeah,
just
Boot.
give him, I think he'll give him a pretty good fight, Xander Zayas.
Um, he fades a lot late in fights, and he gets good matchmaking. He don't get a lot of knockouts with the kind of matchmaking that he gets. So I don't know. I gotta see more of him. He's a little bit young. I don't know if he's developed enough to give Boots a fight. He got some good talent. He's solid, but I noticed a lot of his fights after the fifth or sixth round, he kind of fades a little bit. Um, uh, I don't. I, I just don't know if he's developed enough to fight Boots. But action speaks louder than words, and I'm sure that Boots don't need too many tune-ups at 54. So we'll see if Top Rank is willing to make that fight. You could just action speaks louder than words. I think Bakram will be more of a tougher fight. Bakram is a man; he's not no kid, and that counter left hook that he throws is a real thing. That shot was a missile, and I think that could present some trouble to Boots, simply because Boots is so just like like he's such a killer. Like he bloodthirsty, opens up a little bit, and you got to be careful with bigger guys. Bachram was throwing a nasty left hook counter against Tim Tszyu, and yeah, he could be a trouble. And I'm not saying Xander Zayas can't be a good fight for Boots, but I think the other guys are developed past uh, uh, Zayas from what I've seen of him in his recent fights. I think they're a little bit farther along in development, and I think he might be a little bit young and right for Boots right now. Boots is probably watching a great fighter in his prime, and like when you're dealing with a great fighter in their prime, you don't want to mess a younger kid that's still developing, still trying to get better, who haven't reached a peak yet. You don't want to mess with them. You know what I'm saying? He could ruin him. It's kind of like it's a possibility that he could have ruined Brian Norman, and Brian Norman to me is developed much further past Xander Zayas. So I don't know if that would be a good fight as you think it is. Boots is super athletic and he got a good jab. So guys that are athletic, Xander Zayas seems like he got some athleticism, but guys that's athletic, when you got a good jab to put on them, you could break their rhythm. And Boots got a monster jab from both sides. So I don't know. I think I'm more inclined to think that Vergil Ortiz, Fundora, and Lubin will be tougher fights. But we got to see. Who knows? Zayas, he could be improving. He could be getting better. I think he's still in his early 20s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So he probably, knowing Top Rank, they probably let him develop another year or two before you put him in with a guy like Boots. Because one thing I know about Top Rank is that they don't miss too much talent. So they know how good Boots is. So again, actions speak louder than words. They know what he is and what he's not. So I don't know if they would invest that kind of money in Xander Zayas to just throw him in there with Boots if he wins the title. But he's fighting a guy that beat Charles Conwell. That guy was pretty good. So
yeah.
we got to see if he can win the title first.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because everybody said Virgil Crawford's not coming back. Just like I just kind of wanted to throw something out
You
there.
know what's the interesting fight? Jamel Charlo. If he comes back to 54, but I don't know if he's going to come back. But that's an interesting fight because he's a big
He,
puncher and he carries his power late and he
but
got sneaky shots.
he keeps saying he's coming back to 54 though. So like,
Yeah. I mean,
you'll put him
I
over.
don't know where he's coming back, but that would be an interesting fight if he came back to 54. But we got to see because he went up to 68 and he haven't fought since. And he's about 34, 35. So,
Yeah,
making weight might not be easy for him. He seems like a fit guy, but that would be a big fight. That would be a good fight because
better
Boots
than
would have to be high.
better than Fundora, and I don't know about Virgil, but
I don't
better.
know about better, but you'll be on the edge of your seat because Charlo is a big sneaky puncher and he can clip you at any time in the fight. He carries his power late. So Boots will have to be careful just from that one aspect. I thought he was losing to Tony Harrison, but he don't get discouraged. He keep chucking them and he finally caught Harrison. And he did it versus John Jackson when he won the title.
Yep, yeah,
So Charlo, he's the guy that if he's down on points, he'll still keep fighting. He'll still keep throwing big punches. He'll still keep trying to hit you with sneaky counters. Um, and he got a lot of experience. That would be a interesting fight. But again, I don't know if he's going to be a 54 pounder because he went up to 68, like 30, I think he like 35, and then coming back down
he
to
just turned 36.
54.
Yeah,
It might. I don't know what he did to make 68. If he put on muscle, it might be hard. If he just didn't cut weight, then it might be a little easier. But I don't know. I don't know what he did to make 54. But we got to see. I don't. Hard to tell.
got it. Look, I know you got to go. Appreciate you jumping on with me, man. My guy. Hope you have a
Yeah.
good one, brother.
Yeah.